Hi, welcome to Down the Track on InView TV. My name's Bruce Mott, I'm your host, and this is episode 1 of Series 3 of Down the Track. We've been going for a few years now, and we're very excited that Series 3 is about to commence, and this season we're covering all things NRDC. Yes, the National Drag Racing Championships is about to launch, a very exciting time for Australian drag racing, and we're looking forward to covering it. Make sure you follow us as much as you can, like, comment, share, subscribe, and keep in touch with the channel so you can find out what's happening with the NRDC as much as we can cover it. On today's episode, we've got someone that's returning to the sport, someone that's raced in the highest echelons of the sport. I'm talking about Top Fuel in the past. He's coming back. He's an ex-European champion in top alcohol. He's raced Top Fuel in this country for a number of different teams, including his teams. He's announced recently he's returning. Of course, I'm talking about Steve Reed, or Pommy Steve Reed, as he's affectionately known. Let's bring Steve on and learn what his plans are for this coming season. Hey, Steve Reed, welcome to Down the Track on InView TV. How are you?
Good, Bruce. How you doing?
Good. Steve, you recently made an announcement that you're coming back to Top Fuel Racing, which has got everyone excited. You've obviously got excited about the Top Fuel Championship and the new NDRC that's coming along. And you've decided that you're going to get back in the driver's seat and you've got a new team. So I want to hear all about that. I want to hear firstly about your past. There's some people that probably don't know that you're a European champion in top alcohol. You've raced Top Fuel for a number of teams. You've had your own team in the past. So I'm going to bring up some footage and you can just tell us a little bit about the history and then we'll talk about where we're going to go to in the future. So give us a bit of a rundown of where you've come from in the world of drag racing.
I started in the early 70s in the car, racing with my dad. And from there it was when he sort of retired and we had a rear engine car built and I took over the driving of that. And that led to several championships in Europe and Germany, Scandinavia. And then it's always a challenge that you wanted to go to America and take on the Americans. So consequently, it was in 92, we realized that dream. Before that, in 92, I came over here and drove for Adrian Posibon with Bob Meyer in attendance, tuning it. They deemed his car unsafe, and so we came across here and decided to show what we could do. We reset the national record, reset the speed record, and won a few meetings here. So that was good, which then set me on the path. Well, really, I would like to come back to Australia. At the time, I had a big company in England, and the common market was coming in, and it meant that any company could bid for any of the contracts I've had, and so I had the opportunity to sell it. And on the way of shipping the car to Australia, we decided to do 4 meetings in America. So we took in Dallas, Phoenix, Houston, and Pomona. And it culminated in Arizona. We were number 1 qualifier and set a new track record. And unfortunately, went out first round. And then at Pomona, we reached the finals of the Winston finals in 92. And that night, we shipped the car to Australia to arrive at the 92 grand finals in Sydney, which was eventually winded out, if you remember back then.
Winded out. That's an unusual thing, winded out.
Shocking. So the next year, 93, we won the championship. 94, we came runner-up, I believe it was. 95, Sando approached me about whether I'd drive his fuel car for him. So that was always a dream of mine. And I mean, it was, we had a very successful relationship. A bit stormy at times, but a successful relationship for 11 or 12 years, which is, I'd always had my own team. And so it was a dream just to go back to your own car. Obviously, the costs of that. And so I've always been a small guy, never had big sponsors. We had help along the way. And so I've always raced very, very smart. It's always raced usually on my own money. So we just couldn't afford the big parts. So we looked for consistency more than outright performance. And I think with what I saw with NDRC and the way they've run the Burson's Top Fuel Championship, it's a consistency. Not necessarily the fastest, but if you notice, they're in they're always anchored in the 3.8s, 3.9s, 4.0s or whatever. And I mean, we can be right in that mix, even with our old car. We were running 3.90s to the 1,000 foot, even though it was over a quarter of a mile. We take those times.
I
But
was
if
going
you
to ask
tune
you
in,
what your plans are for the future and what the car you're thinking of doing, what sort of times. But before we get to that, this pass here, I remember this pass at Sydney because I was actually on the sidelines filming it. This is when I think the throttle stuck and you crashed at the end. And
yeah,
the thing that I remember the most about that is I went back to the Eastern Creek Tavern that night, and you were there with the crew and all that, and obviously fine from the accident. And I come up to you and I said, I've got some footage if you want to have a look at it. And it was like there was no serious accident. It was just you were more keen on knowing the car's performance and what it did at half track and quarter track and all that. I couldn't believe that you'd been in a serious accident only hours before. It was all about the car at that point.
I mean, it was a beautiful car, and it was. I was more annoyed that we'd heard it, and it is, as you can see, as it's going down the track, and it's like I took my foot off the throttle, and it just wouldn't come off, and I got my foot hooked underneath, and it still wouldn't come off. And people go, "Oh, why didn't you, why didn't you pull the parachutes?" Well, when we were racing for Sando down in about 95, 96 at Calder Park, we went through, somebody said to me, "Oh, you need to drive into the chutes." Well, we burst 3 sets of chutes. So when you're under full noise, these things, you can't drive into the chutes. You've got to be on and off the throttle at the same time. So um, I just thought, wait, well, it's going to run out of fuel. So wait till it ran out of fuel, then pulled the chutes. And it slowed it down somewhat, but it still went into the bank at about 250 mile an hour. So, and I'm thinking, and people go, "You can't think this quick." I'm thinking, I wonder how much is it going to hurt? And that was really all it was, and how much was it going to cost? But luckily, that was the very first meeting that I'd worn a harness device, and
Oh,
I got out.
really?
Normally, yeah, after every meeting, I'd come back, I'd look like black and blue from where you get tire shake and your seat belts. With that harness device, I got out of the car. I never had a bruise on me. You can see my little pinky finger there. That's the only damage. And it was where it was so dark down the bottom end, I couldn't drop my hand off the steering wheel. I didn't see when the bank was coming up, and the steering spun round and broke my finger. And that was the only damage I had.
Wow, amazing. And now we get to today. So you've tell us what you've been doing in, let's say, the last 6 months. You've been helping out Tim McCarthy in his Nitro Funny car. But tell us what's happened in the last 6 to 12 months that's got you to the point now where you're coming back with your own top fuel team.
Well, it's one of those things where I had a pretty serious back operation in 2016, Christmas 2016. And so I waited for that to heal, plus having a divorce from a previous partner, which seriously curtailed the financial aspect of it. And then split up with Dwayne Riley. He decided to go his own way. So it left us without sort of not much to work with. And so consequently, it was Tim McCarthy approached me and asked whether I would help him with his fuel funny car. And I said, sure. He wanted me to come along as a consultant on it more than anything. So that sort of, I've purposely stayed away from the track because, as you know, with drag racing, it's more like a drug. It's the worst addiction ever going. And if you can stay away from the track, you don't think about it too much. But it lured me back in. And when he said, "Oh, would you like to come along?" and it was, I seriously had to think about it because I knew what the consequences could be. Then he talked about, well, we could get you a fuel car and we'll put an engine in it and we can race both cars and whatever. No, okay. So that was the situation he got to. So for a couple of years, we were just doing along with his thing. Then he said, well, look, there's a really good car coming up, which was Martin Stamatis' old car that he actually had the accident against me. And it was front half, back half, new wing, new body. So it was basically like a brand new car. And then another old friend of mine, Nick Packer, who is a trucking friend, he said, "Oh, I'll buy the chassis." So all of a sudden, the nucleus sort of came together, and that's how things have progressed. And we went down and got the chassis, and Tim's brought up the parts, and we're just piecing it together. And as you can see, we're pretty much 95% there. It's just a question of putting a spares package together now. I mean, where we go with this, probably, I mean, I would dearly like to run all 7 rounds of the championship, but for the first year, maybe that's not going to happen. Obviously, it will depend on funding, where, we're actively talking to marketing partners now. And we're in great talks with them, but it's a time process. So what we hope to do is, now it doesn't look like we'll probably make the bend. Our first meeting will be 1st and 2nd of December up at Willowbank here.
All right. So shame to hear you're not going to make the bend. I'm looking forward to catching up with you down there. But I'm just a bit too tight with getting together ready for that.
It's a financial thing more than anything.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
it is obviously the people that we're talking to have no real interest in South Australia. They're a worldwide company, Australian, very big in Australia as well. But so that wasn't on their radar. So we would have to find another marketing partner who could, fund us to go to South Australia. I'm not saying we couldn't do it, but and we would like to, but it's just a financial aspect that we cannot afford off our own back.
Sure. You mentioned the car. You said it's back halved, front halved a couple of times. It's practically a brand new car. What about the rest of the gear on the car, the engine and everything else? Is it the latest spec? Where's that sit in the scheme of things?
No, I'd never been a latest spec person. I always remember years and years ago, Dad was very friendly with Ed Donovan, and we always used to run Donovan engines. And Ed used to say to Dad, it's like, what you need, Jim, is you need this. And so we would get that, and it would blow up on the first meeting, and we would phone him up, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, but you didn't have that. Well, why didn't you tell us?" "Well, you never asked." So I look at things where, give me a proven combination, but I mean, it was like with the old combination, it was something that we pieced together, and it was very, very reliable. And that's what we're looking at here. With this 3-round format, it's great for sponsors, it's great for spectators, and it's good because you're not looking for outright performance. What you're looking for is consistency. And if you can go down the track, and I figure this thing will run mid to low 80s, fairly consistent, and that will be the plan that we're going to go down.
Okay, so mid to low 80s, that's the plan, and consistency. I definitely get that. And as you say, the all-run format is all about consistency, not necessarily just a one-off, real quick pass and nothing else. So I know that's your plan, and I've seen you do that in the past, and that's why you've won championships in the past. So definitely a good strategy to have on the track. Off the track, what's your strategy? I've seen, for instance, that you've been, and I'll bring it up, you've been doing some YouTube videos about the whole story and why you're back in the game and what your plan is. And you're giving some good insights into, for instance, inside the cockpit as you are now. You gave a story on the clutch, you gave a story on the downforce on the front and rear wing. So are you enjoying doing the social media side of things?
I do. I mean, he's, my great friend Dan Bennett, who was with us with the Spirit Las Vegas car and with Reed Speed before, he's a young guy. He's full of great ideas that really the sport needs to take up, because he's very astute at what he does. And I probably wouldn't have done this. There's key people, and Dan is one of these key people, because you can't get marketing partners unless you do social media. Danny's right onto the social media, and he tends to keep up with the latest trends and whatever. And he said, we need to do this. So that's fine. And, while I hate public speaking normally, but this is just in the workshop, and we're just having fun while we do it. And so it's good. But there's so many people who come up to you at a racetrack and go, you know what, how does this work? Well, or they don't want to trouble you while you're at the track. So we figured, yeah, well, maybe we'll put something together and explain to people about clutches and explain to people about, how much fuel the car uses and all different aspects of it that they send answers in and we answer the, questions in, sorry, and we answer them. And it is, Dan just informed us, we got over 100,000 views. That's pretty good for
Yeah,
somebody who hasn't been back on the track yet. But,
very good.
we hope to go out there and make our mark. I'm not out there, even at my age. I'm not out there to come second. So all those boys better watch out because we're going to be coming for them.
So I like the idea how you want to educate people, explain to people about the car and what you're doing and how it all works. Here's an idea for you. Do it at the track as well. I was at a meeting recently, or how long ago? 6, 12 months, whatever, in Perth. And I was hanging around Jay Upton's pit. And there was a few
Yep.
people all hanging around, and there was someone working on the bike. And as he was working, he was explaining to the crowd what he was actually doing.
Yes.
And he was actually very, very good at doing that. And I thought, wouldn't that be great if someone was in, say, your pit, and when the crew's working madly between rounds, that someone was explaining to the crowd what they're actually doing, and just focus on, okay, on the supercharger, this guy's going to do this, clutch, this are going to this. Because there's so many people, as you say, that come to the track in awe of what's happening between rounds, but really got no idea what you're doing. So maybe there's an education that can happen at the track as well.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. I've got a couple of big assets. One is Dan, obviously, with the social media side, that I just do what he says because he knows what he's doing. And I'm a great believer in, it's like I can paint a house, but it's not my forte. So you get a house painter in. He's
Sure.
very good at social media and doing this sort of thing and organizing. And he organizes me, and I just go along with what he says. So another key member of this is going to be Ray Ward, another old name from the past who was
Yeah,
my
okay.
crew chief. Well, Ray is one of the most understated crew chiefs out there, I believe. And so he's going to be overseeing the whole operation and tuning it, along with myself for advice. But there's going to be a couple of other old crew members there that have been around for a long time. So that's good. And that leaves me free then to do more of this and explain to people. And that's the enjoyable part, because with spectators, they're very hesitant. Oh, he's too busy, or he's this, that. But if I haven't got to worry about the tune-up, I haven't got to do this or do that. It's like, and I can worry about the social side of it. Hey, we can do a lot more, and explain to people and get people involved, because we're more of a people's team. We're just on low budget. I'm just devoting my time and the workshop. I still had the workshop. I still had the race trailer. I still had certain stuff from the race car. So it was like everybody chipped in a bit, and this is how it's all came about.
Yeah, well, I can still see you got the panels from the Las Vegas car behind you.
Yeah, luckily, actually, most of the body is a bit crumpled in my view. It survived, but I mean, it's a good reminder to us that don't lose focus. It's attention to detail, and that's what fuel racing is all about: attention to detail. And that's it's a good reminder, and this is what it is with this. And it's pretty exciting. We're going to train a new crew as well, but the hard part with every fuel team, and Lammers has got it, he's having to drop back to one car. He's trying to find dedicated crew, because now with 7 rounds of the championship and all the crew are volunteer,
Yeah,
most people forget that. So you've got to have, those people take 7 weekends off. That's 7 weekends away from their family, plus all the time in between to get the car ready. And it takes a great deal of dedication.
sure. So has your crew been finalised?
No,
No, not
no,
yet.
it's fluid.
It's fluid.
I mean, luckily, a few of the old, not my direct crew, but a few of people that I've worked with over the years have said, oh, do you need a hand? Do you need a hand? So they're going to be looking over the shoulder of the new people that we've got coming along. So it is, it should be a good basis for a team to start again.
Steve, it's been great having you on the show. Fantastic to hear that you're getting back in the seat and your car's going to be out there. I know there's lots of fans out there that are really looking forward to seeing you back out on the track. Truly believe in you, what the team can do, and consistency is the goal. And I think that's a very good strategy to have. Thanks for being on the show. Any last words? Anyone you want to thank for getting to this point? Anyone you want to thank that's going to support you in the future?
Oh, look, I mean, there's the biggest thing, I suppose, Tim McCarthy, who believed in me, Nick Packham, trucking mate, who bought the chassis, Dan Bennett, who is really did all this social side of it and is a very integral part of the team. We couldn't do it. And also Ray Wall coming along. I mean, there's a couple of other names that will be coming along, but we won't announce those yet. So we're just really looking forward to get out there and just get on the track and show what we can do again.
Thanks, Steve. Looking forward to it. All the best for you and the team for the next season and the season beyond. Thanks for being on Down the Track on InView TV.
Thanks, Bruce. It's been great.